Look what the streets dragged in. Veteran trainer Jake Iron Fist Morrison's voice cuts through Brooklyn's elite boxing academy like a blade. Every conversation stops. Every head turns. 22-year-old Zara Williams freezes near the entrance, clutching her worn gym bag. She's here for her first day of paid membership, 8 months of savings from 2 jobs. Morrison approaches with pure disgust. Did someone call pest control? Because we've got a problem. His cruel smile widens as wealthy members burst into laughter. Sweetheart, the welfare gym is 3 blocks down. He snatches her membership card, examining it mockingly. Oh, you actually paid? Well, your money's no good here. Without warning, he kicks her bag. Her water bottle and worn hand wraps scatter across the polished floor. Clean up this trash and crawl back where you came from. Real athletes train here. Zara kneels silently, collecting her belongings with shaking hands. But something burns in her eyes. What this trainer doesn't know. He just humiliated someone who's been perfecting devastating combinations since childhood. Have you ever been so underestimated that people forgot you might be their biggest mistake? Brooklyn's elite boxing academy sits like a fortress of privilege in the heart of a gentrified neighborhood. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase gleaming equipment that costs more than most people's cars. This isn't where regular folks train. It's where Wall Street analysts and tech executives play at being fighters. The monthly membership fee? $4,000. Not including personal training. Zara Williams arrives each morning at 5 a.m., not to work out, but to work. She cleans these same floors she now walks on as a paying member. Her calloused hands have scrubbed every surface, emptied every trash bin, and polished every mirror in this temple of wealth. By 6 a.m., she's rushing to her second job teaching after-school programs in East Brooklyn, where kids fight real battles just to survive. The contrast couldn't be starker. In the morning, she's invisible. In the evening, she's someone who matters. But between these two worlds lies her secret. Every night for 15 years, Zara has descended into her grandfather's basement. Marcus Williams wasn't just any boxer. He was a Golden Gloves champion whose name once echoed through arenas across the country. Now forgotten by history, he lives in a small apartment above a corner store, his championship photos yellow with age. "Baby girl," he'd tell her, wrapping her small hands in vintage gloves. "Boxing isn't about hurting people. It's about protecting what you love." Marcus taught her everything. Classical American boxing mixed with capoeira footwork. Defense techniques borrowed from Krav Maga. Combinations that flow like water but strike like lightning. What took other fighters years to learn, Zara absorbed through osmosis, muscle memory built through thousands of repetitions. But Marcus also taught her wisdom. Real strength stays quiet until it's needed. Let people underestimate you. It's the greatest advantage you'll ever have. So Zara learned to hide her power. At the gym, she wears oversized hoodies that disguise her athletic build. She speaks softly, avoids eye contact, and never corrects anyone's assumptions about her abilities. To everyone at elite boxing, she's just another broke girl trying to pretend she belongs. Jake Iron Fist Morrison built his reputation on exactly this kind of pretense. At 45, he looks the part of a champion trainer, broad shoulders, scarred knuckles, and a voice that commands attention. His office walls display photos with minor celebrities and local politicians, all carefully positioned to suggest importance. But Morrison's professional boxing career peaked at regional tournaments. He never fought anyone who mattered, never held a title that counted, and never earned the respect he desperately craves. Instead, he discovered something more profitable than fighting training rich people who wanted to feel dangerous. Morrison's genius lies in reading social hierarchies. He knows exactly which members inherited their wealth versus those who earned it. He can spot new money from old money across a crowded room. Most importantly, he understands that wealthy people pay premium prices partly for exclusivity. the assurance that they won't have to train alongside people they consider beneath them. Sarah Carter represents Morrison's ideal client. 24 years old, Harvard MBA, family money stretching back generations. She boxes because it's fashionable among young executives, something edgy to mention at networking events. Her custom gloves cost more than Zara makes in a month. But Sarah isn't cruel, just oblivious. She genuinely believes the gym's steep prices ensure serious athletes only. She's never considered that talent might exist in people who can't afford to display it properly. Coach Rodriguez watches everything from the corner. At 62, he's the only person at elite boxing who actually knows what real fighting looks like. He's trained legitimate contenders, worked with fighters who bled for their craft instead of their Instagram feeds. But his mortgage depends on Morrison's referrals, so he stays quiet about what he sees. And what he sees in Zara terrifies him. The way she moves when she thinks no one's watching. The precision of her shadow boxing. The power is evident, even in her warm-up routines. Rodriguez recognizes generational talent being wasted on people who wouldn't know authentic skill if it knocked them unconscious, which, he suspects, might happen sooner than anyone expects. Derek Thompson, Morrison's prize student, trains with the confidence of someone who's never faced real consequences. Law school, trust fund, 2 years of expensive instruction, he believes these advantages make him formidable. He has no idea he's about to become a lesson in the difference between purchased training and inherited skill. 3 days into her membership, Zara arrives at 6:30 a.m. hoping for solitude. The gym feels different when it's empty, less intimidating, more like the basement where she learned to fight. She approaches the heavy bag cautiously, unwrapping her grandfather's hand wraps. The fabric is worn thin from decades of use, but they carry his strength, his legacy. She begins slowly, jab, cross, hook. Each combination flows naturally, muscle memory taking over. Then the power emerges. Her strikes echo through the empty space like gunshots. The bag swings violently with each impact, chains creaking under the force. This is who she really is. Not the quiet cleaning lady, but a weapon disguised as weakness. "What the hell is this?" Morrison's voice shatters her focus. He stands in the doorway with Derek and Sarah, all three staring at the destruction she's inflicted on the heavy bag. "I said, what the hell do you think you're doing?" Morrison approaches, his face twisted with rage. "This equipment costs more than your yearly salary, sweetheart." Zara steps back, immediately resuming her submissive posture. "I'm sorry, I was just..." "Just what? Trying to break our gear with your wild flailing?" Morrison circles her like a predator. "This isn't some street corner, honey. We have standards here." He physically moves her away from the professional equipment, treating her like a child who touched something forbidden. "Beginners use the light bags over there, the kiddie section." Sarah looks uncomfortable but says nothing. Derek smirks, enjoying the show. "Matter of fact," Morrison continues, his voice growing louder as early members start arriving, "let's have some fun. Sarah needs a warm-up partner for her technique work." His eyes glitter with malicious intent. "Zara, you can help her practice some basic combinations. Nothing serious, just light contact." The trap is perfectly set. To everyone watching, Morrison is being generous, giving the poor girl a chance to learn from a superior athlete. But Zara recognizes the real purpose: public humiliation disguised as charity. "Try not to embarrass yourself," Morrison whispers as she reluctantly puts on borrowed headgear. These people paid good money to train with real athletes, not street fighters. Zara's grandfather's voice echoes in her mind. "Sometimes quiet strength must become visible power. You'll know when that moment arrives." Standing in Morrison's ring, surrounded by people who see her as entertainment, Zara realizes that moment just arrived. Week 1 begins Morrison's systematic destruction campaign. He's not just bullying Zara, he's conducting psychological warfare with surgical precision. Every morning, Zara arrives to find her reserved equipment suddenly unavailable. Morrison materializes with clipboard in hand, shaking his head sympathetically. "Oh, didn't you get the message? Corporate team building session just booked this slot." His smile never reaches his eyes. "Maybe try the elliptical machines upstairs? More your speed anyway." By Wednesday, the pattern becomes obvious. Whenever Zara books heavy bag time, Morrison discovers emergency maintenance issues. When she signs up for group classes, he pairs her exclusively with complete beginners, forcing her to hold back while others advance to intermediate techniques. "Now remember, Zara," he announces loudly during Wednesday's session, "take it easy with Mrs. Patterson. She's 73 and just had hip replacement surgery." The entire class laughs as Zara awkwardly shadows boxes with an elderly woman who moves like she's underwater. Meanwhile, Sarah and Derek work on advanced combinations with Morrison's personal attention. The humiliations escalate daily. Thursday morning, Morrison assigns Zara to equipment cleaning duty while others train. "Someone needs to sanitize these machines properly," he declares, handing her industrial-strength disinfectant. "Can't have germs spreading to our premium members." Zara scrubs the same equipment she cleaned hours earlier as a paid employee, now doing it again as a paying member. The irony isn't lost on anyone watching. Morrison's genius lies in his audience management. He times each humiliation perfectly, ensuring maximum witnesses from his wealthy clientele. By Friday, every member knows the hierarchy Zara occupies the bottom, exists for their entertainment. "Our little charity case," Morrison calls her, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Bless her heart, she tries so hard." Morrison's psychology reveals itself during quiet moments. He confides to Derek during Saturday's session, 25 years building this reputation. Politicians' kids, CEOs' daughters, they trust me with their future leaders. One viral video of their precious children getting embarrassed by some street kid, and everything crumbles. His paranoia runs deeper than simple prejudice. Morrison recognizes dangerous potential in Zara's movements, the way she carries herself when she thinks nobody's watching. That terrifies him more than her background. "She's got that look," he tells Sarah privately, "like she's hiding something. People like that are unpredictable, dangerous to our community atmosphere." Week 2 brings escalated confrontation. Morrison begins publicly critiquing Zara's technique during crowded sessions. "Stop! Stop! Stop!" he shouts Tuesday evening, his voice cutting through conversations across the packed gym. Every head turns toward Zara's heavy bag station. "You're going to hurt yourself with that uncontrolled street fighting nonsense." He forces her to demonstrate proper Olympic technique using his preferred methodology. When Zara adjusts her stance to match his demands, her natural power visibly decreases, making her appear less skilled to observing members. "See? Much better," Morrison announces triumphantly. "This is why we maintain professional standards here instead of allowing wild improvisation." Sarah Carter watches these interactions with growing discomfort, but her law firm internship depends partly on networking within Morrison's affluent membership base. She stays silent, hating herself for it. Coach Rodriguez observes from his corner, torn between intervention and survival. His family's mortgage depends on Morrison's referrals and recommendations. But watching authentic talent being systematically destroyed makes his professional conscience scream. Wednesday brings Morrison's masterstroke, the Members' Skills Showcase. He organizes an evening event where young professionals demonstrate techniques for colleagues and networking contacts. "This is about building community," Morrison explains to the gathered crowd, showing what dedicated training produces when guided by proper instruction. He strategically excludes Zara from participating, implementing a senior trainer endorsement required policy. When pressed by Sarah about Zara's omission, Morrison's response carries across the room. "She needs additional foundation work before public demonstration. We can't risk safety issues or embarrassing performances." The exhibition day arrives with crushing finality. Zara shows up hoping to at least watch and learn, but Morrison has prepared one final humiliation. "Zara, perfect timing," he calls out as she enters. "We need someone to help with refreshment service. You know, water bottles, towel distribution really contribute to the team effort." She stands there in her workout clothes, having paid the same membership fees as everyone else, being assigned to servant duties while others showcase their skills. The symbolism couldn't be clearer. But Morrison isn't finished. During a brief break in demonstrations, he approaches Zara with theatrical concern. "You know what, honey? I've been thinking about your situation here." His voice carries just far enough for nearby members to overhear. "Maybe this environment isn't the right fit for someone with your background. There's a nice community center gym about 20 blocks east. More affordable, more appropriate for your skill level." Derek laughs outright at this suggestion. Sarah looks away, unable to meet Zara's eyes. "I'm just trying to help," Morrison continues, his tone dripping with false compassion. "Sometimes people reach beyond their natural limitations and get hurt. I'd hate to see that happen to you." Morrison's final psychological assault comes during cleanup. As Zara silently collects empty water bottles and used towels, he makes one last observation to his assembled premium members. "You know what I admire about tonight? Everyone knows their role, contributing according to their abilities. That's what makes a community work, everyone finding their appropriate place." The message resonates clearly. Zara's appropriate place is serving others, not competing with them. Standing in Morrison's kingdom, surrounded by people who've been systematically taught to dismiss her worth, Zara feels her grandfather's words burning in her memory. "Baby girl, there comes a moment when quiet dignity must transform into visible power." That moment hovers just beyond the horizon, building like a storm Morrison is too arrogant to see approaching. As she walks home that night, carrying the weight of systematic humiliation, Zara makes a decision that will change everything. Morrison wanted to establish her place in his hierarchy. Tomorrow, she'll show him exactly where she belongs. Zara walks Brooklyn's empty streets, her mind processing weeks of calculated humiliation. Her feet carry her automatically to her grandfather's old basement gym, the place where she learned who she really is. Surrounded by faded photos of Marcus Williams's victories, clarity strikes. Morrison's power depends entirely on public validation. Every cruel comment was performed for an audience. His authority exists only when others witness and validate it. What if she changed that dynamic? Following people usually means trouble. Zara turns. Sarah Carter stands in the doorway, clutching her phone nervously. "I've been recording everything," Sarah admits, guilt heavy in her voice. "Every insult, every humiliation. I told myself it was for protection, but watching him systematically destroy you..." Her voice cracks. "I stayed silent because speaking up might cost me opportunities. I became exactly who I used to hate." Genuine remorse mixes with determination on Sarah's face. "He can't refuse a challenge from me," Sarah continues, "not in front of his members, and when he arranges what he thinks will be my easy victory over you, the cameras will see something completely different," Zara finishes quietly. Understanding passes between them like electricity. Morrison wanted to establish hierarchy through humiliation. Tomorrow he'll discover what real power looks like. Sarah's plan unfolds with precision. Thursday evening, she casually invites 25 young professionals to witness Derek Thompson's advanced technique demonstration. The gym buzzes with smartphones and networking energy, exactly what Morrison craves. "Derek's been working on some incredible combinations," Sarah announces loudly enough for Morrison to overhear. "Perfect Instagram content for everyone's fitness posts." Morrison materializes instantly, his ego magnetized by the opportunity. 25 potential premium members, all documenting his star pupils' skills. This represents thousands in future revenue. "Excellent idea, Sarah," Morrison beams, positioning himself center stage. Derek, show them what 2 years of professional training produces. Derek begins his demonstration textbook combinations, impressive footwork, obvious athletic conditioning. Smartphones capture every angle as he flows through sequences Morrison taught him. The crowd murmurs appreciation. Sarah waits for the perfect moment. You know, there's been some debate about whether technique alone wins fights. Some people think raw talent might actually matter more. Morrison's eyes narrow. He recognizes manipulation but can't resist the bait. Raw talent without proper coaching is just violence waiting to happen. Technique, discipline, professional instruction, that's what creates real fighters. But what if someone with natural ability faced someone with formal training? Sarah presses, her voice carrying across the gym. Hypothetically, of course. The crowd grows interested. This philosophical debate touches something primal nature versus nurture, street versus school, authenticity versus privilege. Morrison spots Zara near the equipment rack, trying to remain invisible. His predator instincts activate. Here's his chance to demonstrate hierarchy while entertaining potential clients. Well, since we're being hypothetical, Morrison announces, his voice booming with confidence, why don't we settle this scientifically? Zara, front and center. Every head turns. Zara approaches slowly, her expression unreadable. Light contact sparring, Morrison continues, playing to his audience. Derek will demonstrate proper technique against natural enthusiasm, educational value for everyone. The trap is perfect. Morrison believes he's orchestrating Zara's final humiliation while showcasing Derek's superiority. The audience expects to witness privilege triumph over poverty, training defeat talent. Remember, Derek, Morrison instructs loudly, this is about controlled demonstration. Show everyone what professional coaching produces, but keep it gentle. We don't want accidents. Derek nods confidently, approaching the ring like he's entering his personal domain. 6'2", perfectly conditioned, 2 years of expensive instruction, he radiates the certainty of someone who's never faced real consequences. Zara steps through the ropes quietly. Her worn gear contrasts sharply with Derek's premium equipment. She looks exactly like what Morrison wants everyone to see, an amateur about to be educated. But her eyes tell a different story. They hold something Derek has never encountered. 15 years of authentic training compressed into pure, focused intention. The bell rings. Derek approaches with textbook combinations, expecting routine technical superiority. His first jab travels exactly where Morrison taught him to throw it straight, proper, predictable. Zara doesn't just dodge. She flows like water around his punch, her grandfather's capoeira footwork making Derek's attack seem clumsy and telegraphed. Her counter jab snaps out with surgical precision, connecting clean on Derek's surprised face. The gym goes silent except for the distinctive crack of leather on target. Derek staggers, his confident expression replaced by genuine shock. In 2 seconds, everything he believed about fighting just evaporated. What the? He starts, but Zara's already moving. She demonstrates combinations Derek's never seen classical American boxing mixed with fluid movement that makes every defense impossible to predict. Her punches arrive from angles Morrison never taught, with timing that seems impossible. Derek increases his intensity, trying to reassert expected dominance. But Zara adapts to everything he throws, responding with techniques that leave the crowd gasping audibly. This isn't right, Morrison mutters, panic creeping into his voice. His carefully controlled narrative is collapsing in real time. Derek, now embarrassed and desperate, abandons technique entirely. He launches a wild combination designed to hurt rather than educate, trying to salvage his reputation through brute force. Zara's response is pure artistry. She slips Derek's haymaker by millimeters, steps inside his guard, and delivers a perfect uppercut that lifts him completely off his feet. The punch lands with such precise technique that Derek seems to hang suspended in air for a moment before crashing to the canvas. It's not violent. It's beautiful. Technical perfection captured by 25 smartphone cameras from every conceivable angle. The gym falls into absolute silence. Derek lies conscious but thoroughly defeated, staring at the ceiling in complete disbelief. Zara stands over him, breathing controlled, expression serene. 10 seconds of profound quiet, then the explosion. The crowd erupts in simultaneous cheers, gasps, and frantic social media uploading. Sarah's phone captures the knockout from the perfect angle. Zara's composed face, contrasting with Derek's shocked defeat, creates an instantly iconic image. "World star!" someone shouts. Within minutes, the footage spreads across every platform. Morrison's face cycles through panic, rage, and desperate calculation. His golden boy just got destroyed by someone he spent weeks teaching everyone to dismiss. "Lucky shot!" Morrison shouts over the chaos, his voice cracking with desperation. "Derek was obviously holding back for safety. This is exactly why we have proper protocols." But his words are lost in the viral hurricane already forming. Comments flood in from boxing enthusiasts who immediately recognize authentic skill when they see it. At Boxing Truth, "That's not luck, that's 15 years of real training." At Street Fighter 2024, "She just schooled that privileged kid in basic physics." At Real Recognize, "Real, Grandpa taught her right." #Justice for Zara. The hashtag #Justice for Zara begins trending within the hour. The video gains 200,000 views before most people have even left the gym. Members who spent weeks ignoring Zara now approach with obvious respect and curiosity. Several request her contact information for private lessons. The social dynamics Morrison spent months establishing evaporate in 60 seconds of authentic demonstration. But Morrison's expression promises this victory comes with consequences. As Zara helps Derek to his feet, showing more class than he ever did, Morrison pulls his defeated protege aside. "This embarrassment ends tonight," he hisses, his face twisted with rage. "Tomorrow we will make sure she never shows her face here again. And we teach everyone what happens when people forget their place in my gym." The viral clip continues spreading, but Zara has no idea that her moment of triumph is about to become Morrison's excuse for total warfare. Morrison spends the entire night weaponizing his connections. By sunrise, he's transformed Zara's victory into her potential destruction. At 6 a.m., Zara arrives for her usual cleaning shift to find security guards waiting. Her keycard no longer works. An official notice taped to the entrance bears her name and a single word: banned. "Effective immediately," the security guard reads from his clipboard. "Zara Williams is permanently prohibited from Elite Boxing Academy premises due to excessive force endangering member safety. Die." Morrison emerges from his office, flanked by 2 men in expensive suits. His smile radiates vindictive satisfaction. "Ms. Williams, meet my attorneys. They're here regarding the serious assault you committed against Derek Thompson last night." Morrison's voice carries the weight of absolute authority. "Derek's currently in the emergency room with a severe concussion. We're filing both criminal charges and a substantial civil lawsuit." The lawyers step forward with legal documents. "Assault in the second degree, reckless endangerment, intentional infliction of emotional distress," one recites mechanically. "Damages sought include medical expenses, pain and suffering, and future earning capacity impact for a promising law student." Zara stares at the papers, her hands trembling slightly. This isn't about boxing anymore. It's about Morrison using the legal system as a weapon against someone who dared challenge his authority. By 8 a.m., Morrison's media campaign launched with surgical precision. He contacts every local news station, positioning himself as a concerned professional protecting young athletes from dangerous individuals. "This girl exploited what was supposed to be a friendly training session," Morrison tells Channel 7 News, his expression grave with manufactured concern. "She used excessive force against a member who was clearly holding back for safety reasons. Derek Thompson is a promising law student. His future could be permanently damaged by this unprovoked violence. The narrative spreads like wildfire. Morrison's connections with wealthy families provide multiple credible sources supporting his version of events. Parents express outrage about violent individuals infiltrating safe spaces their children pay premium prices to access. Within hours, the viral video's comment section transforms into a battleground. Initial celebrations of Zara's skill get buried under waves of concern about uncontrolled aggression and inappropriate violence in recreational facilities. At Concerned Parent 2024, this is why we need better screening. Our kids aren't safe. At Legal Mom, hope they throw the book at her. Derek's family will sue for millions. At Safety, first, that wasn't boxing. That was assault with deadly weapons, her hands. Morrison appears on 3 television interviews, each performance perfectly calculated. He positions himself as a heroic protector of young professionals while painting Zara as everything wealthy parents fear: uncontrolled violence disguised as athletic ability. "I've been training fighters for 25 years, he tells the morning show host. "I recognize dangerous behavior when I see it. This wasn't sport. This was someone with obvious anger issues using our facility to hurt people." Derek's father, corporate attorney Richard Thompson, holds a press conference outside Elite Boxing Academy. His son stands beside him, wearing a neck brace and looking appropriately traumatized. "My son went to that gym to stay in shape and network with peers," Richard Thompson declares, his voice heavy with parental concern. "Instead, he was brutally assaulted by someone who clearly doesn't understand the difference between sport and violence." Derek nods weakly, playing his role perfectly. "I was just trying to help her learn some basic techniques. The next thing I knew, I was unconscious on the floor." The legal documents pile up like winter snow. Assault charges, civil complaints, restraining orders. Morrison and the Thompson family deploy every weapon the justice system offers. They demand $2.3 million in damages, claiming Derek's law school prospects are permanently damaged. Zara's family faces immediate consequences. Her mother receives anonymous calls questioning her daughter's violent tendencies and suggesting she's an unfit parent. Their landlord expresses serious concerns about tenant behavior that might affect property insurance rates. Even worse, Zara loses both her jobs. The cleaning company terminated her contract, citing liability concerns. The after-school program quietly lets her go, claiming budget cuts but making their real reasons obvious through careful silence. Sarah Carter watches the destruction from inside her privileged bubble, facing intense family pressure to delete her viral video and publicly disavow any association with Zara. "This is affecting your reputation," her mother warns during a tense dinner conversation. "The Thompson family has real influence. You can't afford to be connected to this kind of publicity." But Sarah's video contains more than just the knockout. Her phone holds weeks of Morrison's harassment, systematic exclusion, and calculated psychological warfare. She recognizes the evidence's power and understands why Morrison needs to destroy it. Coach Rodriguez watches everything unfold from his corner, wrestling with conscience versus survival. His mortgage depends on Morrison's referrals, but watching authentic talent being destroyed through legal manipulation makes his professional soul scream. Late Tuesday night, Rodriguez makes a decision that changes everything. Working alone in the gym's security office, he begins copying months of surveillance footage onto portable drives. Every interaction, every humiliation, every moment of Morrison's systematic campaign exists in digital form. Morrison's victory tour continues through Wednesday. He implements new, comprehensive safety protocols explicitly designed to exclude fighters with backgrounds like Zara's, citing her case as definitive proof of his prescient safety concerns. "We're instituting psychological evaluations for all new members," he announced to local media. "Background checks, character references, anger management certification, whatever it takes to protect our community from dangerous individuals." But Morrison makes one crucial mistake. Drunk on his apparent victory, he gives a detailed newspaper interview that reveals too much of his true psychology. "People need to understand their place in society," Morrison tells the Brooklyn Herald. Some individuals come from environments where violence is normalized, where conflict resolution happens through aggression rather than civilized discussion. My gym represents something higher, a place where proper values and appropriate behavior are maintained. His words, carefully coded but unmistakably discriminatory, trigger immediate recognition from civil rights organizations who understand exactly what proper values and appropriate behavior mean when applied selectively based on race and class. The interview includes a photo of Morrison standing proudly in his gym, surrounded by equipment Zara once cleaned and members who never questioned his authority. His expression radiates complete confidence. The look of someone who believes he's won permanently. He has no idea that Rodriguez's evidence drives are already in the hands of civil rights attorneys who recognize systematic discrimination when they see it documented in high definition. The hunter who spent weeks destroying his prey is about to discover he's actually been caught in a trap far more sophisticated than anything he ever imagined. Morrison's moment of total victory lasts exactly 18 more hours. Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Rodriguez's evidence package detonates like a nuclear bomb across social media and news platforms simultaneously. The first video clip shows Morrison kicking Zara's gym bag on her opening day, grinding his heel into her belongings while declaring, "Clean up this trash and crawl back where you came from." But that's just the appetizer. Security footage reveals 3 weeks of systematic harassment in devastating detail. Morrison deliberately sabotaged Zara's equipment reservations, forcing her to clean machines while other members train, coaching Derek to put her in her place during what was supposed to be educational sparring. Most damaging, audio captures Morrison's private conversations with premium members, revealing his true philosophy. "People like her don't belong here." Morrison's voice echoes clearly through gym speakers the cameras picked up. "I spent 25 years building this reputation. One viral video of their precious children getting embarrassed by some street kid, and everything I've built crumbles." The evidence isn't just comprehensive, it's devastating. Every cruel comment, every calculated humiliation, every moment of systematic exclusion, all captured in crystal-clear digital detail. Within 2 hours, #justice. For Zara explodes across every platform. Morrison spent days constructing crumbles in real time as millions watch documented proof of systematic discrimination and harassment. At Civil Rights Now, this is textbook workplace harassment. Fire this racist immediately. At Boxing, Truth, 30 years of fighting and I've never seen coaching this skilled. She's the real deal. At Legal Analyst, those security tapes just made Morrison's gym liable for millions in discrimination damages. Morrison arrives at his gym to find protesters outside and his phone exploding with cancellation notices from premium members. His carefully constructed kingdom is collapsing faster than he can process. "This is fabricated evidence," Morrison screams at the gathering crowd of reporters. "Rodriguez doctored those tapes out of jealousy. This is a conspiracy to destroy my reputation." But his desperate claims fall apart when tech experts verify the footage's authenticity within hours. Timestamps, metadata, multiple camera angles, everything confirms the systematic harassment campaign Morrison orchestrated. By afternoon, the community demands a public hearing. Morrison, flanked by expensive legal representation, maintains his innocence while facing an increasingly hostile audience. "I was protecting other members from dangerous behavior," Morrison insists, his voice cracking under pressure. "Everything I did was motivated by legitimate safety concerns." Then Zara takes the microphone. She doesn't attack Morrison personally or deliver an emotional victim statement. Instead, she speaks quietly about her grandfather's teachings, about boxing as discipline and respect, about strength that protects rather than dominates. "My grandfather taught me that real champions create opportunities for others to succeed." Zara's voice carries clearly through the packed auditorium. He taught me that authentic strength never needs to diminish someone else to prove itself. The contrast is devastating. Zara's dignity and articulate explanation of proper values makes Morrison's aggressive defensiveness appear pathetic and small. Then Derek Thompson approaches the microphone. The crowd expects him to support Morrison's version of events. Instead, Derek delivers the testimony that destroys everything. Morrison coached me specifically to humiliate her, Derek admits, his voice barely steady. He told me the sparring session was about teaching someone their place, not about technique or training. Derek's confession continues, each word dismantling Morrison's carefully constructed narrative. He said people like Zara threaten the gym's exclusive atmosphere, that wealthy members pay premium prices partly to avoid training with people from those backgrounds. The audience erupts. Morrison's own prize student just exposed the systematic discrimination that drove every decision, every humiliation, every calculated attack on Zara's dignity. But the most devastating revelation comes next. Civil rights attorneys present documentation showing Morrison's fabricated credentials, his entire professional reputation built on lies. Jake Morrison never achieved the boxing success he claims, the lead attorney announces. Regional tournament records show he lost in preliminary rounds consistently. Most significantly, Golden Gloves archives reveal he was defeated 30 years ago by Marcus Williams Zara's grandfather. The courtroom falls silent. Morrison's lifetime of resentment suddenly makes perfect sense. He spent decades targeting people like Zara because her grandfather's authentic achievement exposed his own fraudulent claims. Morrison's psychological breakdown happens in real time. Under intense questioning, his carefully constructed persona crumbles completely. "You don't understand!" Morrison screams, his professional mask finally slipping. "I built something important here. People like her don't belong in elite spaces. Maintaining standards isn't discrimination, it's preserving what matters." His words reveal the ugly truth. Morrison's entire worldview depends on artificial hierarchies that place wealth above skill, privilege above talent, connections above character. The investigation expands rapidly. Other gym members come forward with similar stories of harassment and systematic exclusion. A clear pattern emerges of Morrison targeting minority members while providing exceptional treatment to wealthy clients who could enhance his reputation. Within days, Morrison faces federal civil rights charges, criminal harassment complaints, and civil lawsuits from multiple families. The gym's corporate ownership terminates his employment immediately and implements comprehensive anti-discrimination policies with external oversight. But the real victory isn't legal. It's psychological. Morrison spent months teaching everyone in his orbit to dismiss Zara as worthless. Now those same people witness her grace, skill, and character while watching his complete moral collapse. USA boxing officials, having reviewed both the viral knockout footage and Zara's family boxing heritage, formally invite her to their elite national training program. Miss Williams represents classical American boxing at its absolute finest, the USA boxing director announces. Her technique demonstrates sophisticated training that most modern fighters never encounter. We'd be honored to have her join our development program. The recognition validates everything Marcus Williams taught his granddaughter about boxing, dignity, and the power of quiet strength that reveals itself when circumstances demand action. Sarah Carter, inspired by Zara's principled response to systematic harassment, establishes a comprehensive scholarship fund ensuring young athletes from all backgrounds can access quality training without facing discrimination. Coach Rodriguez, finally free from Morrison's toxic influence, becomes the gym's new head trainer, implementing inclusive programs that prioritize skill and character over social status and financial resources. As Morrison faces the comprehensive consequences of his actions, legal, professional, and personal, Zara receives recognition she never sought but absolutely deserved. Her grandfather's teachings proved prophetic. Authentic strength, guided by principle and supported by community, will always triumph over systematic discrimination and abuse of authority, always. 6 months later, Zara stands in the USA Boxing National Training Center, wearing official team gear that bears her name and her grandfather's legacy. The invitation she received wasn't charity. It was recognition of generational talent that Morrison spent months trying to destroy. Your technique represents something we're desperately trying to preserve, USA Boxing's head coach tells her during orientation. Classical American boxing combined with innovative footwork, your grandfather's methods are exactly what modern competition needs. Marcus Williams watches his granddaughter's first official training session from the observation deck, tears streaming down his weathered face. 30 years after Morrison dismissed him as irrelevant, his teachings are being studied by Olympic-level coaches who recognize authentic mastery. Meanwhile, Morrison's empire crumbles with poetic finality. Federal investigators uncover systematic discrimination spanning 5 years, affecting dozens of minority members who were harassed into quitting. The financial penalties exceed $3.2 million, bankrupting both his personal training business and his carefully constructed reputation. Derek Thompson, genuinely transformed by his humiliation and subsequent soul-searching, approaches Zara during a Brooklyn community event. "I know I don't deserve your time," Derek says quietly, "but would you consider teaching me some of your grandfather's techniques? Not because I want to win fights, but because I want to understand what real discipline looks like." Their friendship develops slowly, built on Derek's genuine commitment to unlearning the entitled attitudes Morrison encouraged. He becomes one of Zara's most dedicated students, proving that authentic competition builds character rather than resentment when approached with proper values. Sarah Carter channels her legal training and family resources into establishing the Zara Williams Foundation, providing comprehensive support for young athletes facing systematic discrimination. The foundation doesn't just offer financial assistance, it actively monitors facilities for discriminatory practices and provides legal support when harassment occurs. "We've documented over 200 cases of systematic exclusion in athletic facilities nationwide," Sarah reports at the Foundation's first annual meeting. "But more importantly, we've created accountability systems that prevent future Morrison-style campaigns from succeeding." The ripple effects spread far beyond boxing. Young athletes across multiple sports begin documenting discriminatory treatment, creating unprecedented accountability in recreational facilities that previously operated without oversight. Brooklyn's elite boxing academy, under Rodriguez's leadership, became a nationally recognized model for inclusive excellence. The gym's membership actually increases as people seek authentic training environments that prioritize skill development over social status. "Real strength creates community," Rodriguez explains to new members during orientation. "If someone's success threatens you, that says everything about your character and nothing about theirs." The basement where Marcus Williams trained his granddaughter receives official designation as a historic landmark. A bronze plaque reads, "Here, authentic champions were forged through discipline, respect, and unwavering commitment to lifting others toward their highest potential." #Justice. For Zara evolves into a global movement promoting inclusive excellence in all competitive environments. The hashtag generates millions of posts worldwide, connecting athletes who refuse to accept systematic exclusion as inevitable. Morrison attempts one final intimidation letter from his bankruptcy attorney's office. His words reveal a complete inability to understand that authentic strength comes from building others up rather than tearing them down through systematic oppression. Zara's response demonstrates total victory. She doesn't respond at all. Morrison no longer deserves her attention, energy, or consideration. Her focus shifts entirely toward training, mentoring, and building the inclusive athletic community her grandfather envisioned. The most profound change occurs in Zara herself. Her quiet confidence evolves into natural leadership without requiring aggression or domination. She commands genuine respect because it's earned through demonstrated skill, unwavering character, and principled behavior under extreme pressure. During her first national amateur tournament, Zara carries forward more than just sophisticated techniques. She embodies her grandfather's fundamental values: respect for all opponents, disciplined training methods, and understanding that true champions create opportunities for others to discover their potential. Whether she wins or loses specific matches becomes irrelevant. She's already achieved lasting victory by remaining true to her principles while systematically dismantling discrimination and inspiring institutional change across multiple industries. The final image shows 3 generations of boxing excellence: Marcus Williams' championship photographs hanging beside Zara's USA boxing credentials, with space left for future achievements that will continue the family legacy. But the real legacy isn't measured in trophies or titles. It's seen in the dozens of young athletes who train safely because Zara refused to accept systematic harassment silently, in facilities that implement inclusive policies because her story exposed the consequences of discrimination, in young people who document abuse because her courage showed them resistance is possible. Morrison wanted to establish Zara's place in his artificial hierarchy. Instead, she established her rightful position in boxing history, not just as an exceptional athlete, but as someone who proved authentic strength, guided by principle and supported by the community, will always triumph over systematic discrimination and abuse of authority. 2 years later, Zara competed in her first National Golden Gloves tournament, representing everything her grandfather taught about boxing as both competitive sport and character development. The arena buzzes with anticipation, not just for her technical skills, but for what she represents in the fight against systematic discrimination. Win or lose tonight, she's already achieved comprehensive victory by maintaining her principles while inspiring lasting institutional change across the athletic world. Morrison's case became landmark federal legislation for addressing discrimination in private recreational facilities. The Elite Boxing Academy Act requires all membership-based athletic facilities to implement anti-discrimination training and maintain transparent complaint processes with external oversight. Law schools now teach Morrison v. Williams as a definitive case study in how social media documentation can expose systematic harassment while creating accountability through community action and legal intervention. Students analyze the evidence Rodriguez collected, learning to recognize discrimination patterns that operate under the guise of maintaining standards. The Zara Williams Foundation has transformed from a local initiative into a national organization. Over 15,000 young athletes annually receive support that extends far beyond financial assistance, comprehensive mentorship, legal protection, and access to facilities that prioritize skill over social status. We've documented and resolved 347 discrimination complaints nationwide, Sarah Carter reports at the Foundation's second annual gala. But more importantly, we've prevented thousands more by creating systems where harassment can't flourish in darkness. Boxing gyms and martial arts facilities across the country have implemented inclusive excellence programs, recognizing that the strongest training environments embrace diverse backgrounds, techniques, and perspectives. Morrison's exclusionary approach has been systematically replaced by collaborative development models that celebrate authentic achievement. Universities studying institutional discrimination use Zara's case as primary research material, demonstrating how systematic exclusion operates in seemingly neutral environments while showing effective strategies for resistance, documentation, and community-based accountability. The basement gym where Marcus Williams forged champions now serves as a training center for at-risk youth, funded by donations from people inspired by Zara's story. The walls display before and after photos of hundreds of young athletes who discovered their strength through inclusive training that celebrates character alongside skill. But tonight's competition represents something deeper than athletic achievement. As Zara steps into the ring, she carries forward the understanding that every victory against discrimination creates space for others to succeed. Her opponent, a skilled fighter from Chicago, with her own story of overcoming adversity, approaches with obvious respect. They touch gloves knowing that regardless of who wins, they're both champions in the fight for inclusive excellence. The crowd includes Derek Thompson, now a civil rights attorney specializing in sports discrimination cases; Sarah Carter, whose foundation work continues expanding globally; Coach Rodriguez, whose leadership transformed Elite Boxing Academy into a model facility; and Marcus Williams, whose techniques are being studied by Olympic-level trainers who finally recognize authentic mastery. As the bell rings, Zara's movements demonstrate 15 years of dedicated training combined with unshakable character forged through adversity. Win or lose, she's already proven that authentic strength, guided by principle and supported by community, creates lasting change that extends far beyond individual achievement. Call to action. Personal reflection. Have you ever witnessed systematic discrimination in spaces that claim to value fairness and merit? When you see someone being excluded, harassed, or dismissed because of their background, do you document what's happening and speak up for what's right, or do you stay silent to protect your own comfort and privileges? Call to action. Community action. If you witness discrimination anywhere, gyms, schools, workplaces, or community spaces, document it safely and support those being targeted. Your smartphone isn't just for entertainment. It's a powerful tool for justice and accountability when used with clear evidence and community backing. Call to action. Systemic change. Share this story if you believe everyone deserves fair opportunities to demonstrate their abilities regardless of background or resources. Comment below with your own experiences of overcoming systematic exclusion or witnessing quiet strength triumph over institutional prejudice. Your story might provide exactly the inspiration someone else needs today. Subscribe to Black Voices Uncut to hear more stories of people who refuse to let discrimination define their limits or dictate their futures. Join a growing community that celebrates authentic excellence over artificial hierarchies, character over connections, and principles over privilege. Remember, quiet strength isn't weakness waiting to be discovered. It's the power of choosing the right moment to change the world. When that moment comes for you, and it will come, will you be ready to stand up, speak out, and create the change others need to see? Your voice matters. Your documentation counts. Your courage can change everything.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.